What I'd like to do is chat about social media. So we're sort of broaden it out a little bit to Twitter and all the other ones that I've heard of. And well, I know about Twitter, but all these other ones like Snapchat and TikTok that I've heard of, but I don't know anything about. So I'd say social media and smartphones has really been the biggest thing of the 21st century, probably along with 9/11 and terrorism.
Yeah.
Quite different, but I'd say those two things are probably the biggest. Social is not a great word.
Social issue sort of thing.
Yeah, social. I was going to say social events, but I wouldn't call a terrorist attack a social event.
No.
It's not very good. Yeah, I mean, you have to marvel at like the design of everything, the way the colors are designed and the way that people are targeted. Now, at what point did you maybe realize that we were essentially Facebook is really an exercise in us giving our data away for free?
Yeah, everything's controlled. So like you'll maybe like something on another page and it'll come up on your Facebook and like everything's completely targeted. But like Instagram, your explore page is shaped by the stuff you've liked. You're like, oh, I mean, like when you see some, like that's a big thing with TikTok as well. Like there's the For You page and it literally is for you. Like the stuff on there is stuff that it knows you're like, which is a bit creepy, but like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel you wouldn't want to use anything if you thought about it too much that's taking all your data. I mean, it's something to be concerned about. Like, you should definitely be careful, but it's just like, in the end of that, it's just one of those things.
So what's it tapping into? Because we all know that, but we're still doing it. So is it because, I don't know, do they know something about us that we don't know, perhaps?
So everything's tracked. Like, if you download an app, I feel like in some ways it knows what you do on your phone. I feel like if you read all the fine print, it probably says that if you open a website on your phone, your Twitter could tap into that in a way. I don't know that for certain, but I feel like there's a lot more to it because no one reads the small print. That's the thing. No one sits and reads 200 page of terms and conditions.
Well, it's the same with government documents. Yeah, there's these trade deals that go through and they're 20,000 pages. I mean, who could...
Yeah, who's got time?
I mean, even if it was interesting, who could possibly read? What politician could possibly have time to read 20,000 pages? But no, I know what you mean. And their argument is, yeah, but we're telling you what we're doing. You know what we're doing. 100%. We know what they're doing. We know they're taking our data. We know we're giving it away for free, but we're still doing it.
It's just how things are. Like, you can't function. I'm not saying you can't function without social media. That's definitely not true.
Oh,
like,
that's a controversial statement, ladies and gentlemen.
No. I don't know. Well, like, I'd say when I was younger, I used to I'd use it more, but like I only use it now as like a way to communicate. I use it to talk to my best friend in Australia. That's what I use Twitter for, more so than just to actually tweet because I can't be bothered anymore. I used to be really bothered. Like, I used to be on it all the time, but I don't anymore. I just talk to Ty now.
It's fantastic for advertising my podcast because I've got 3 podcasts now, including this one. I can't tell you how great it is for that because you're just reaching people so easily.
Yeah,
but you have to be a bit wary of things which are too convenient. You know, there's an expression: "There's no such thing as a free lunch." So anything that's convenient and just seems too good to be true almost certainly is. You know, advertising and things like that, they do tap our subconscious. So I wasn't even joking when I said earlier they probably know more about us than we do.
Yeah.
You know, because the majority of people wouldn't really analyze their behavior particularly, so they just do it. You know, and these people know. You know, like you say, this thing that developed where they know what you've been looking at, so they target stuff.
I've got a good example about that.
Yeah, go on.
So like with Netflix, the way with Netflix is for one show, there'll be about 5 different thumbnails. So there might be one where there's the actress's face or an actor or like a landscape. So Netflix picks up on what you're more likely to click on. So there's someone did it where they'd only click on thumbnails where like you could see like the actor's face, so then all the thumbnails will be about that, so it like picks up exactly what you like, so it knows how to target you in a way for you to pick certain things. Like say if they wanted a show, some Netflix original, and they knew you'd click on stuff that's got like an actress's face, like you're likely to pick something that's got a woman's face on it, they'd use that thumbnail to get you to click on it.
Yeah, in many ways it's great because it's, you know, you go on your YouTube feed and you've got all this stuff that they know you like, and it's great.
Yeah.
You can't deny that it's very convenient, but there's a price as well. I'm going to put a link in the show notes. There's a TED Talk by Cal Newport about why you don't need social media, and, you know, it's one side of an argument. Another thing, have you heard of this thing called Fomo?
Yes.
Fear of missing out. Yeah, that's another thing that kind of fits into it. So I think social media quite ruthlessly targets, insecurities like that,
Oh gosh, yeah.
That, on Facebook, there's this big party going on that I'm not involved in. And if I don't log on for a day, like, oh, imagine all this fun I'm going to miss out,
But yeah.
This great party. Yeah, one of the things I was reading was apparently the average age of users of Facebook has gone up quite considerably. So I think...
Oh, definitely.
Like you're saying, like people of your age group. Do you mind me telling people your age?
Go for it. I don't mind. Right? I'm 23.
And not representing all millennials.
Definitely not.
You're in your 20s and I'm in my 40s, basically. So, I think the average age has gone up because there's a lot of people of my age group and even my parents, your grandparents' age group, who can look up old friends from school and stuff. And like you say, it's great for that. I occasionally enjoy checking in, seeing what people I haven't spoken to for 20 years are doing. But I think it's one of those things where you can use it to your advantage.
I guess so.
If you log on and you're advertising a podcast or you're checking in with somebody, if you just spend 5 minutes, it's not so bad. But would you agree that like if you spend like half an hour, an hour on it?
Yeah, I just don't like Facebook anymore. I just don't care for it. I can't bother with it really.
Yeah.
For example, like Instagram, like I've never really been an Instagram person. I don't feel the need to, I'm not judging anyone who does, obviously not, but like I've never felt the need to take pictures of like everything I'm doing. Like when I go on holiday, I wouldn't post 20 pictures of my holiday. Like that's just not me. I'm not judging people who do, but like I've never been one to display everything I do. Like they're like sort of I use Twitter in the way you said, use Facebook to like look up other people. I use it to talk to people I can't talk to face in a way.
It is in our control. That's the other thing. As you were saying, it is becoming more difficult. Like, for example, if we just take technology in general, it's very difficult not to have an email address. Okay.
Oh yeah, you need it for everything.
Yeah, it gets very difficult to do that. And then it kind of goes in stages because I'm an English teacher, as you know. And actually, the reason I got a smartphone, I probably would have got one eventually, but I was very late to the party, so to speak, was because my school sends emails to everybody saying, oh, we have a new student. And then basically the first teacher who gets in there gets the gig, gets the job.
Yeah.
So when I didn't have a smartphone, I'd get home in the evening. It's unbelievable now to think that, you'd have to wait all day to check your email. But there was something great about it, to be honest. I'd get home and I'd just see all these emails of all these classes that, of course, are gone. So I had to get one, really, to work. So it gets to a point where you kind of need to have these things. But like I say, it is in our control. You don't have to spend a long time on it.
Definitely not. I feel like in this day and age, as you said, a smartphone is sort of an essential. Because I again, a similar example I saw, it was someone who took a picture of their older relative who had sort of an older phone, and they had a email about getting I think it's like a COVID test or something. It was like, or getting booked in for their vaccine. And like that, this girl had to do is sort of copy and paste it onto her phone. So like, it can be not life or death. I'm not saying that, but it is something you do need. But like you can sort of just use it for the bare essentials. Like your smartphone, you don't have to have everything that a smartphone can do on a smartphone. Sometimes you could just strip it back. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, they used to make a joke about. I mean, this is going way back, mobile phones. Again, I was really late to mobile phones. A lot of my friends had them in the 90s, and I got mine in about 2001 or 2, something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons people got mobile phones was that if you had an emergency, like if you were a child, I mean, perhaps children shouldn't have mobile phones, but that's another story. But a young person, if you had a phone and you got in trouble, you could call your parents, or if you broke down or something in the middle of nowhere. But of course, then you got caller ID. Caller ID, yeah. And the irony was that then a lot of young people would probably, when they saw it was their parents calling them, wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
That was a quite ironic thing. So all these things, they have good functions, but then like mobile phones are taken to the extremes, like as you said with smartphones. People who just absolutely live on them, And like I say, it's not even young people as well. I know people in their 40s and 50s seem to spend their life on the internet and just post, as you said, like 110 photos from their holidays. Like, all right, fine. I think 5 photos will like set the scene, but
yeah,
you just like post them endlessly. So I think we'd all agree, well, I'm not going to speak for everyone, but I think we'd agree that there's obviously positives to social media, but let's look at a few of the negatives. So I saw a Twitter video, well, it was audio the other day. It was a woman, for those who don't know, it's a woman called Justine Sacco, who was a PR lady in New York. She got on a plane and she tweeted, "Going to Africa, hope I don't get AIDS," which was a very misguided thing to do. I think there was some joke attached to it. She was obviously trying to be ironic. So she turned off her phone. When she landed, she opened her phone. There was like hundreds and hundreds of messages. And obviously people had taken offense to this. But did you read some of the messages on the screen though when I sent you that video?
Yeah, it was like, "Has Justine landed yet?" or something.
Yeah, but no, I mean, there was just awful stuff like, "I can't wait to see your face when you check your effing phone." It was...
Oh, yeah.
You know, and there was misogynist stuff. There was all kinds. But I think the most upsetting thing about it is that I think social media has unleashed all this anger and this nastiness.
Oh, yeah, I get that.
Must have been there anyway. But what was most shocking was people just delighting in her misery, basically. And I think she lost her job. She was sort of socially...
you can definitely lose your job over stuff like that.
Yeah, she was socially ostracized. How much of a problem is cyberbullying? How much of that have you been aware of?
Oh gosh, you hear horrible stories about stuff like, I don't know, there used to be that site that was quite popular called Ask FM, where you could literally anonymously just send stuff to people. Like you could message them anything. You could say something horrible. People have like killed themselves over stuff like that. So it's just, I think this thing of social media, you have such easy access to people. So like if something you wouldn't say to someone's face, you can just type it to them. A person, if they wanted to be a cyberbully, they can easily just track someone down, like track down their Facebook, just message them and say something really mean. That can proper affect people. So yeah, there's definitely been cases of people harming themselves over it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard these things about Instagram. Like sometimes it's bullying, but sometimes it's even just people making fun. You know, you post a photo that's supposed to be funny and everyone makes fun of you. And I didn't grow up in the age where I was a young person with Instagram, so I never really had that. I did exist in a time before all this. And it must be difficult because it must be like, you know, imagine you post a photo of it and you get 100 people all taking the piss out of you, as we say, you know.
Oh, God, that happens to loads of people all the time.
It's not quite the same, but it's a bit like having 100 real people all gathering around you, like making fun of you. I mean...
The thing is with it, like, if you had to do it in person, you wouldn't do it. That's what I think.
Exactly.
Like, you had to, if you saw someone post something and you didn't like it, and you had, the only way you could be horrible to them is to go around to their house and yell at them. Like, you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever seen those videos where it says what Facebook behavior would look like in real life?
Yeah, I've seen a video like that. It's crazy.
I'll try and find them and put them in the show notes, but they're hilarious. It's like you go around to someone's house and you show them like 100 photos and like you go like, "Oh, look at this," you know.
No, yeah, I've seen similar stuff to that. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because we all think that we're so rational, don't we? And then it's not until someone points it out you realise how like crazy it is. I mean, trying to think about what's actually happening, and what it is that social media can turn a normal person into a celebrity, basically. Celebrity within like a fairly small kind of bubble. But let's say you've got like 500 or even 1,000 Facebook friends. You become a sort of celebrity within that 500 people, let's say.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all hanging on your every post. So you've got the power of a celebrity, but then you've got what celebrities have in reality, which is that everyone knows them or thinks they know them. They know stuff about them. You know, some horrendous stuff that happens to celebrities. It sounds like it's so great being famous and everything. So what's happening is that we can all be famous in our own way, but when we get all the pitfalls of that.
Thing is, when you're under that light, your digital footprint will go everywhere. So like you'll have celebrities who, when they were 15, tweeted something inappropriate or problematic, then their fans will like dig it up and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said this," and then they have to apologise. So it's like, I think social media can hold people accountable for stuff they didn't even realise they could be held accountable for.
Retro shaming, is that what it's called? Maybe.
Or like, it also links to like sort of cancel culture. So that if someone does one thing, that can be like the end of their career. And sometimes that's rightly so. Yeah. But it's like, for example, like sort of this links to Justin Timberlake actually. Some of him and Janet Jackson at the Super Bowl, like she's the one who got blamed for it when she like grabbed, he's the one who grabbed her. So it's sort of like one little thing can like ruin your career, especially with social media, the stuff can spread. For example, you could see a celebrity on the street and maybe they're like a bad fan interaction, they could have had a bad day. They'll like fan will upload it, then everyone will see it and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, they're so horrible." that happens a lot because you can film, people film everything. So, like, there's nowhere to hide, even like a private moment. Everything can just spread.
Yeah, the past can become the present, like your whole life. Yeah, I mean, I have a podcast about John Lennon. Again, I don't follow these things generally, but what my guests often tell me is that, like history is always revised. History is always changing, like our perceptions of it. And John Lennon, when he was in his early 20s, there's some video of him making fun of handicapped people. It was a weird thing that he used to do, and he did it even in concert a couple of times. Also, we know that he mistreated his first son, Julian.
Right.
But for a variety of reasons. He was a world-famous Beatle. He was in his 20s. They were being worked very hard. And when he came home, he didn't really have time for his son, and he totally regretted it. It was also known that he may have hit Cynthia Lennon, possibly only once or twice. Other people said he did it to other women. But that's now been revised. So John Lennon is now a wife beater.
Yeah, that's literally what happened.
He makes fun of the handicap. That's almost become all he is. And the problem is that I'm just using him as an example because I do a podcast and I know about him. But one bit of information is then taken to, as you said, like encompass the whole thing.
I know, like you forget about the good things that person might have done if they just one mistake. Cause especially someone might have will apologise for it. And they, like the thing is, like a celebrity can make a mistake and then people will be like, oh, they can't change. That's the thing. Like someone can make a comment 5 years ago and then show that they've changed. And then like some people will realise that and be able to move on, but then other people just hang on to the past. Yeah,
they call it the court of public opinion. Yeah. But nowadays you see the public have all got access, and you can, on Twitter, for example, you can communicate directly with a celebrity, a famous person. And of course it makes us feel good. It kind of gives us revenge. It's the same way, we make fun of politicians, policemen, because they've got power over us. So celebrities is a similar thing. A lot of people are jealous of them. So it's a way of revenge. But what you were saying earlier about one incident, you've heard of Derren Brown, right?
The magician?
Yeah. I read his book years ago, and I think this is maybe before social media or in the early stages. And he told a story. I don't remember the exact details, but it was something like he was in a cafe and he was late for a meeting. And he suddenly realized, I've got to get out. I'm late for a meeting. He rushed out the door. And as someone was coming in, they said, oh, hi, Derren, or something like that. A fan of his or whatever. And he rushed out of this cafe or whatever it was.
Oh, did he ignore the fan?
Yeah, he ignored him. But he ignored him just because he was late for a meeting that was possibly going to cost him.
Oh, yeah, I bet the people twisted it.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if they did, but what Derren Brown said in the book is that it's very possible that one person will say, oh, who's in the pub, is going to say, oh, I met that Derren Brown today and that bastard ignored me, oh, he must be so arrogant. He's going to tell 10 people. They're going to tell everyone from their office, oh, my friend saw Derren Brown and he ignored him. God, what an arrogant celebrity. It's going to spread from one person to potentially.
Oh, yeah, everything spreads.
And I think that was before social media really became so prominent. So now it's the same, but times 1,000,
Yeah, because if that happened today, someone would film it and they'd be like, oh my gosh, Derren Brown's horrible. Yeah. And then it'd be on the Daily Mail or something.
Oh, unbelievable. All right, so just to finish on this, what do you think is the future? Is there going to be a backlash on social media? Oh, sorry, a backlash about social media, or is this thing just going to carry on?
Well, things will phase in and phase out. I think social media will be around, but it'll be different ones. For example, I don't use Snapchat anymore. I used to love it. I don't anymore. There's been ones that have left, I wasn't on MySpace, so that's before me, but stuff like MySpace, stuff that everything just develops. So there'll always be social media, but it'll just be in a different way. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, especially because it's such a good way to communicate with people, especially at the minute, what's going on.
Yeah, so I suppose anyone listening to this, and it's very difficult. I mean, I can't put myself in the mind of a 15-year-old who everyone at their school uses it and there's pressure to post. Yeah, I'm under no pressure, but can you remember, I don't know, cast your mind back to when you were 15, 16, yeah? Was there pressure to use it? Was there pressure to post stuff? Or were you ostracized if you didn't do that? Or?
Well, not for me, because the sort of friends I had, that was never a thing. But I can understand for others it might be, because I think everyone's different. I've always been someone that if I'm not like everyone else, that doesn't really bother me. I know it sounds so cheesy, but I'll do what I want to do. And I didn't personally feel too much pressure to post anything. I never. Yeah, it's just never been me. Like that's why I don't really post on Facebook that much. I don't really post on that much. I just use it to talk to people I want to talk to.
But that pressure exists, though, doesn't it? For sure.
Oh gosh, yeah, for others. Not. I don't say I'm not like other girls, but I'm not saying that. But like, there definitely is that pressure. Like some people definitely feel it, but I personally am not too bothered.
Yeah, we just want to leave the audience with some kind of an inspirational message that is to a large extent or a general extent in your control, in one's control.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.